Did you know that Vegemite, the Bee Gees, and Kylie Minogue are not the only great things made in Australia? Muscle cars are an item on this list that we rarely get to hear about. Yet back in their day, these Aussie battlers tore up the roads and racetracks. We're talking Falcons and Monaros, absolute legends. So today we're counting down the top 10 muscle cars that were never sold in the USA. Also, you might want to stick around for number 2, because that's a real legend that the USA missed out on. Number 10, Holden HT Monaro GTS 350. The Holden HT Monaro GTS 350 was a muscle car built in Australia from 1968 to 1969. Powerful and much loved in its own right, it had the heart of a 5.7-liter V8 engine packing 300 horsepower. This car could easily jump from 0 to 62 miles per hour in around 8 seconds, which was very fast for its time. Only around 700 HT Monaro GTS 350s were ever built, making them pretty rare. So why was the HT Monaro GTS 350 popular? Australians loved its performance and aggressive good looks. It was a great car for cruising and competing in local races. However, it also had some drawbacks. It wasn't the most comfortable car for long journeys, and it wasn't very fuel efficient. Additionally, the automatic transmission option offered less power than the manual. Overall, the Holden HT Monaro GTS 350 was a significant car for the Australian muscle car scene. It showed that Australia could build exciting and powerful cars to rival anything from the USA. Number 9, the 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT Hardtop. The XB GT Hardtop wasn't the first Falcon GT, but it marked a bit of a shift for the muscle car. Think of it as a more refined muscle car. It came with a standard 351 cubic inch V8 engine putting out around 300 horsepower and reaching 0 to 60 miles per hour in an exciting 6.3 seconds, which was plenty of muscle for the time. The XB GT also benefited from some upgrades, including 4-wheel disc brakes, which became standard equipment. The overall design of the XB GT was a bit more subdued compared to earlier Falcon GTs. It had a sleeker look with recessed grille and updated taillights. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual transmission or a 3-speed automatic. Throughout its time on the track, the 1973 XB GT Hardtop remained popular for its balance of power, handling, and comfort. It was a car that could be enjoyed for cruising or some spirited driving. Exact production numbers are debated, but estimates suggest around 7,400 XB GTs were built, making them a desirable car for collectors today. Number 8, Ford XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3. The Ford XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3 was a true powerhouse on wheels, built in Australia between 1971 and 1972. Only 300 were ever made, making them very valuable today. Nicknamed the Beast, this Falcon packed a serious punch. Under the hood sat a massive 351 cubic inch V8 engine with an impressive 300 horsepower. With a top speed of 225 kilometers per hour, the XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3 could reach 0 to 62 miles per hour in a scorching 6.4 seconds, making it one of the fastest cars on the road. This speed and power made the XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3 a dominant force in Australian touring car racing. It racked up numerous victories, solidifying its reputation as a champion. However, its aggressive performance also led to some controversy. Concerns about safety and its suitability for public roads almost led to the car being banned from racing altogether. Despite the controversy, the XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3 remains a legendary car in Australia. Its combination of raw power, racing success, and limited production numbers have cemented its place in automotive history. Number 7, Holden HK Monaro GTS 327 Bathurst. The Holden HK Monaro GT 327 Bathurst was a special kind of muscle car. Built in 1968, it wasn't as common as other Monaros. Only a small number, around 750, were ever made. This car was truly built to race. It was named after Bathurst, a famous Australian racetrack, because Holden wanted to win races there. And guess what? They succeeded. In 1968, HK Monaro GTS 327 cars even took the top 3 spots at the Bathurst 1000 race. Now that's what we call a clean sweep. So what made it special? Under the hood was a powerful 5.4-liter V8 engine. It cranked out around 250 horsepower and was able to reach speeds of 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.4 seconds. Similar to the GTS 350, the HK Monaro GTS 327 Bathurst wasn't the most comfortable car for everyday driving. It was loud and had a stiff suspension, meant for handling tight corners on a track, not bumpy city streets. But for those who loved racing and performance, it was a dream car. Number 6. HDT VKSS Group A. The HDT VKSS Group A had a 4.9-liter V8 engine that cranked out 196 kilowatts, which is roughly 263 horsepower. Only around 500 VKSS Group A cars were ever made. This was because they needed to be built for racing regulations. But this car wasn't just for show. It could go from 0 to 62 miles per hour in about 6.98 seconds. Meanwhile, the design prioritized handling and aerodynamics over pure comfort. So it wasn't the smoothest ride, but it hugged corners like a champ. The HDT VKSS Group A gained popularity for its success in the Australian racing scene. It dominated touring car races, proving its performance capabilities. However, the limited production and focus on racing meant it wasn't widely available to everyday drivers. Number 5. Chrysler Valiant VH Charger E49 RT. The Chrysler Valiant VH Charger E49 RT was a rare and powerful muscle car built in Australia in 1972. Only 149 were ever made, making them highly sought after by collectors today. Nicknamed the E49, this Charger packed a 4.3-liter straight-six engine with 3 Weber carburetors. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.1 seconds. Very quick for its time. Magazines even declared it the fastest accelerating Australian car at the time. So why was the E49 special? First of all, we have it as a rare piece. Only 149 were built, making them instant classics. Next, when it comes to power, it's a straight 302 horsepower from a straight 6 engine. Very impressive for 1972. When we think about speed, when a car goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.1 seconds, you can count on it for sure. However, the E49 wasn't perfect. It wasn't as widely available as some other muscle cars, and with only a 4-speed manual transmission, it wasn't the easiest car to drive in everyday situations. Despite these limitations, the E49's combination of power, rarity, and Australian muscle car heritage make it a true legend among car enthusiasts. Number 4. Opel Commodore GSE. The Opel Commodore GSE was built between 1970 to 1972. This sporty coupe packed a punch with a 2.5-liter inline-6 engine, putting out 115 to 160 horsepower. That might seem modest compared to American muscle, but it was enough to propel the car to a top speed of 122 miles per hour. While not incredibly fast by today's standards, the Commodore GSE was known for its good handling and responsive steering. It was a car that was fun to drive on twisty roads, not just muscle-bound in a straight line. This focus on handling set it apart from some of the American muscle cars of the era. Since around 2,574 such cars were built, it wasn't as great of a rarity as the rest on this list, yet this exclusivity is enough to add it to the list of a true car collector. Still, back in the day, the high price tag and the smaller engine compared to some competitors might have limited its popularity. Number 3. 1970-74 Ford Falcon GT-HO Phase 4. The 1970 to 1974 Ford Falcon GT-HO Phase 4, often called the Phase 4, wasn't your typical muscle car. But for racing, it was a limited edition monster aimed at dominating the Australian Touring Car Championship. Think of it as a street-legal race car. Under the hood sat a heavily modified 351 cubic inch V8 engine, pushing out an estimated horsepower well over 400. This massive power allowed Phase 4 to hit a top speed of 157 miles per hour. However, with stricter regulations and changes in racing categories, Ford only produced a little over 500 Phase 4s. While not as common as some other muscle cars, the Phase 4 became a legend for its racing success and raw power. It wasn't the most comfortable car to drive every day, but for those who valued pure performance, the Phase 4 was a dream machine. Number 2, 1968 to 1974 Holden E49 Commodore SS. The Holden E49 Commodore SS was a rival to the Ford Falcon GT. offering a more affordable and practical muscle car experience for Australian drivers. Unlike the limited production Phase 4, the E49 aimed for a wider audience. It came equipped with a 308 cubic inch V8 engine generating around 250 horsepower. It offered a good balance of affordability and performance, making it a popular choice for enthusiasts. Along with this, it had the potential of cruising through 0 to 60 miles per hour in only 5 seconds. The E49 also benefited from good handling and a comfortable interior compared to some rivals. This made it a well-rounded muscle car that could be enjoyed for everyday driving, not just weekend races. Production numbers were high, with estimates suggesting over 29,000 E49s were built. This makes them a more attainable option for collectors today, while still representing a significant piece of Australian muscle car history. Number 1. Leyland P76 V8. The Leyland P76 V8 was a unique car built in Australia between 1971 and 1974. Unlike the loud and flashy muscle cars of the era, the P76 V8 offered a blend of luxury and performance in a more subtle way. It had 192 horsepower and could thus travel 0 to 60 miles per hour within 9.92 seconds. Imagine a large, comfortable sedan with plenty of space for a whole family and luggage. That's the P76. But under the hood, it had a 4.4-liter V8 engine borrowed from its British cousin, Rover. This engine wasn't the biggest, but it provided decent power for the time. However, only around 1,800 P76 V8s were ever built. So why wasn't the P76 V8 a bigger hit? There were a few reasons. First, like the Piranha V8, it arrived just as the world was facing its first major oil crisis. Big, powerful cars suddenly became less desirable. Second, the P76 wasn't known for the best build quality, which turned some buyers away. Despite these issues, the P76 V8 found some fans. Those who appreciated its comfort, surprising performance, and unique style enjoyed owning this car that stood out from the crowd. Today, these rare Aussie muscle cars are sought after by collectors who value their blend of practicality and power. That wraps up our exploration of 10 incredible muscle cars you never knew existed. From Aussie legends to unique global offerings, muscle cars prove their spirit goes far beyond borders. But what about you? If you have a favorite Australian muscle car, leave a comment below, and let's keep the conversation roaring. Until next time. 10 Aussie classic cars, Ford versus Holden. Come on, Aussie, come on. G'day, mate. Let's dive into the world of Australian classic cars from the 1960s and 1970s when Aussies were making waves at home and internationally with the Bee Gees, AC/DC, that little ripper Kangaroo Skippy, and legendary movie Mad Max. It was also a golden era for gearheads down under. If you love V8 engines and iconic designs as much as we do, you're in for a treat. Here are 10 of the most popular and loved Aussie classic cars of the time. It doesn't matter if you love Ford over Holden or the other way around, there is a car on this list for every car lover. These machines were all about raw power, eye-catching style, and that unforgettable rumble that could shake the ground. So grab your driving gloves and let's cruise through the best of the best. Number 10, 1967 Ford XR Falcon GT. With a top speed around 110 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time, 15 seconds flat. The GT is known as a bit of a classic in the muscle car scene. It came with a 289 cubic inch V8 engine, about 4.7 liters, producing around 271 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. The XR Falcon GT had a 4-speed manual transmission, making it a true driver's car. The XR Falcon GT had a classic muscle car design with its bold grille and wide stance. It was known for its strong performance and even reliability. People loved the XR for its combination of power and style, making it a key player in the early days of Australian muscle cars. Number 9, 1971 Holden HQ Monaro GTS 350. With a top speed around 115 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time, 14.8 seconds. It featured a 350 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering around 300 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. The HQ Monaro GTS 350 came with a 4-speed manual transmission, giving drivers the performance they craved. The HQ Monaro GTS 350 had a bold design with aggressive styling and a muscular stance. It combined performance with style, making it a favorite among car enthusiasts. People loved the HQ for its powerful engine and its role in the Monaro legacy. If you love to see classic cars as much as we do, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next time. Number 8, 1972 Holden Torana GTR XU1 with a top speed around 115 miles per hour and a quarter mile time of 14.7 seconds. This legend of a car was driven by the legendary Peter Brock at Bathurst touring car race. It was considered a smaller but still potent muscle car. It featured a 253 cubic inch V8 engine, about 4.1 liters, that produced around 290 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. The GTR XU1 came with a 4-speed manual transmission, which made driving a blast. The Torana GTR XU1 had a compact, aggressive look with its sporty profile and distinctive stripes. It was known for its excellent handling and agility, making it a favorite among drivers who wanted a performance car that was fun to drive. People loved the GTR XU1 for its blend of power and practicality. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Number 7, 1974 Ford XB Falcon GT. With a top speed around 120 miles per hour and a quarter mile time of 14.6 seconds. Mate, here's another classic on our list that came with a 351 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering around 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. The XB Falcon GT had a 4-speed manual transmission that allowed drivers to make the most of its power. The XB Falcon GT had a bold, muscular look with its wide stance and aggressive front grille. It was known for its strong performance and classic muscle car design. People loved the XB for its power and style, making it a standout in the Ford lineup of the era. This is a true Aussie legend. Number 6, 1969 Holden HT Monaro GTS 350. With a top speed around 115 miles per hour and a quarter mile time of 14.5 seconds. This was a slightly earlier version of the GTS 350, but still a powerhouse in its own right. It featured a 350 cubic inch V8 engine, producing around 300 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. This engine was mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, giving drivers full control over the car's impressive power and ensuring an engaging driving experience. The HT Monaro GTS 350 had a sleek, sporty design with an aggressive grille, muscular stance, clean lines that embodied the spirit of the late 1960s performance cars. Its distinctive styling cues, including the bold stripes and stylish badging, made it stand out on the road. The car's performance and aesthetics were a perfect blend, making it highly popular among car enthusiasts. In addition to its power and style, the HT Monaro GTS 350 offered a refined driving experience. Its handling and ride quality were well regarded, allowing it to stand its ground against both domestic and international competitors. The HT was a car that not only looked the part, but also delivered when it came to performance, making it a true classic in the history of Australian muscle cars. It continues to be celebrated for its contribution to the legacy of Holden and its role in the muscle car era. Number 5, 1970 Holden Monaro GTS 350. With a top speed around 120 miles per hour and quarter mile time of 14.3 seconds. Next, we have another gem in the Monaro lineup. It came with a 350 cubic inch V8 engine, about 5.7 liters, that delivered around 300 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque. The GTS 350 featured a 4-speed manual transmission that made it a joy to drive. The Monaro GTS 350 had a distinctive look with its bold front end and aggressive lines. It combined muscle car performance with a design that was both stylish and functional. People loved it for its power and its place in the Monaro legacy. It was a car that didn't just perform, it made a statement wherever it went. Number 4, 1968 Holden HK Monaro GTS 327. With a top speed around 120 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time of 14.2 seconds. The 1968 Holden MK Monaro GTS 327 was considered a game-changer back in the day. Under the hood, it packed a 327 cubic inch V8, which is about 5.4 liters. It pushed out roughly 275 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. The GTS 327 came with a 4-speed manual transmission that really let you feel the power of the engine. The Monaro GTS 327 was a head-turner with its sleek, fastback design and aggressive styling. Its body had sharp lines and a sporty profile that made it look as fast as it was. People loved this car for its blend of power and style. It wasn't just another muscle car, it was a statement on wheels, showcasing Holden's prowess in building fast, attractive machines. Number 3, 1971 Ford XY Falcon GT. With a top speed around 125 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time of 14 seconds flat. Before the Phase 3, there was this beast and certainly was no slouch. It also featured the 351 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering around 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. The 4-speed manual transmission let you harness all that power, making it a blast to drive. The XY Falcon GT had a rugged, muscular look with its wide wheel arches and bold grille. It was known for its strong performance and handling. People appreciated the XY Falcon GT for its combination of power and reliability. It was a car that could handle the daily grind and still tear up the racetrack on the weekends. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos and let us know what you want to see next. Number 2, 1973 Holden Torana SS A9X. With a top speed around 125 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time of 13.9 seconds. This car was a true contender in the Aussie muscle car arena. It was powered by a 308 cubic inch V8, about 5 liters, which delivered around 300 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. The A9X came with a 4-speed manual gearbox that made driving a sheer pleasure. The Torana SS A9X was also known for its racing success, particularly at Bathurst. It had a compact yet aggressive look with flared wheel arches and distinctive stripes that made it look like it meant business. What made the SS A9X so loved was its blend of street cred and track prowess. It was fast, stylish, and handled like a dream, making it a favorite among enthusiasts and racers alike. And number 1, 1971 Ford XY Falcon GT HO Phase 3. With a top speed around 130 miles per hour and a quarter-mile time of 13.5 seconds. Finally on our list, this beast is like the holy grail of Australian muscle cars. It came equipped with a 351 cubic inch V8, which was about 5.8 liters for those who like metric measurements. It cranked out around 300 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. This thing was built for speed, and the 4-speed manual transmission let you really get in touch with that power. People went nuts for the XY Falcon GT HO because it was a real winner on the racetrack, especially at Bathurst. Its body was aggressive and unmistakable, with wide wheel arches and a mean front grille. You could instantly spot one of those racing stripes and distinctive GTHO badges. The Phase 3 wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of Aussie automotive pride, representing the peak of performance and style. Why these cars were so loved? These Australian classic cars still get our hearts racing. It's all about the perfect storm of raw power, distinctive style, and the thrill of driving. These cars were designed to be fast, loud, and visually stunning. They weren't just about speed, they were about making a statement. In the 1960s and 1970s, Australian car manufacturers were in a fierce competition to build the fastest and most exciting cars. Ford and Holden were neck and neck, pushing each other to new heights of performance and design. This rivalry resulted in some of the most iconic cars ever made. These muscle cars had that unmistakable rumble that made you turn your head when they drove by. They had powerful V8 engines that could tear down the road with ease. And let's not forget the design. Wide wheel arches, aggressive grills, and racing stripes made these cars stand out from the crowd. In the end, these Aussie cars are celebrated not just for their speed and power, but for their place in automotive history. They were a symbol of an era when Australian muscle was at its peak, and they continue to be loved by enthusiasts for their performance, style, and